Murloc that you can actually get off of.
Oh
Murloc,
man,
right?
what are we playing now?
The dream!
Combo!
Although he needs to
He needs to have him survive.
He needs for a lot of things to happen.
He needs to duplicate those sorcerer
He doesn't have
he needs
duplicate.
4.
What he really needs, I think, is like a Spell Slinger into a Frost Nova, just to shut out his 2 Sorcerer Friends from dying from the previous turn.
Right, well, he is getting the Echo off from the Spell Slinger.
I mean, it is value.
Yeah, but now like the Murlocs are just going to rampage out of control.
Oh, yeah. Now that he has also Quartermaster in hand.
Yeah, so Kuno can just use his hero power, make a Murloc, make it a Silver-Handed Brute.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Kuno, that's what I call value.
He raises his hands, he's like, well, what do you want me to do?
All right. Well, I guess I have it all.
Is there a secret up right now?
There is. It's the
Counterspell?
Counterspell. And
Okay.
Kuno has just played nothing but minions each
Right.
turn since then. And this is a very difficult board for Jab to come back from. Even if he had something like a Flame Strike, which I don't believe we've seen played in this deck.
Yeah,
Wow, he just concedes on the spot.
So Kuno off to a decisive 2-game lead against Jab here. Jab is 1 game away from going home.
As much as I really love players bringing these like wild, in some cases they may not be experimental because they've had good results in the past, but they certainly look experimental to me.
Tempo mages.
Right,
Well,
right.
I mean, this is a deck that Jab has actually had a lot of success with in the recent past.
Mm-hmm.
He played it in a large tournament in California the weekend before the Americas Championship at the Esports Arena. He played it at the Americas Championship where he made the top 4. So this is a deck that Jab knows very well and has had a lot of success with, and it's done very, very consistent for him up to this point.
Yeah, just not in the very recent past here at the BlizzCon qualifier tournament. The opening game was so crushing, I was rooting for the deck. I mean, I'm still rooting for the deck because I love the fact that players are bringing such crazy creations to the table. But on the other hand, I think yesterday it went like 2-1, and right now it's 0-2. So
yeah, you're right. It's struggling.
1-4 over the last 2 days so far. And, I mean, in best-of-5 formats, that is a lot of losses in one specific point.
I mean, you pick up an excellent point. The idea is that for every time it succeeded, it definitely has some variance to it. It won't win every game either. So even though he's succeeded with it, he's losing where it matters the most. Because if he loses one more game, Kuno is going to be going to the round of 8, and Jab will be stopped here.
But this is the matchup that he's looking for out of Kuno's lineup. This is the best matchup for his Tempo Mage deck, the Druid, where cards like Mirror Entity really shine, and where he can gain a significant tempo advantage from those Mana Worm openings.
All right, well, Kuno has the Innervate, which is pretty effective. He also has the Darnassus, but he's unable to really play anything here. And he's going to have to make some tough decisions if he wants to Innervate a Shredder or play the Darnassus.
And Jab's hand is only okay here. He's drawn 2 of his secrets, which are really cards that you want to get off of your Mirror Entities. You don't really want to pay the full retail price of 3 mana for them.
Yeah, retail pricing is terrible.
You gotta
Not
get
very
them,
competitive
you gotta
pricing.
get them on sale, you know? They come with the mad scientist. My prices are mad!
What do you think about this play? He can actually charge out a Drew the Claw to guarantee the trade. But at the same time, against 3 mana, you're probably not struggling much with a taunted Drew the Claw either. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is Flame Cannon, which would kill it anyway.
If he had Fireball here, it would be pretty excellent.
That would be excellent, because I actually have 4 attack on the mana.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you have actually reconsidered that because of that option?
I still like Jab's play. If he had charged it, he's open to a lot more things that go wrong that he ends up behind on the board as well, I think. So here we're just going to see, the Arcane Blast, Mirror Entity, and just trade in. So this removes the Druid of the Claw from Kuno and gives Jab the Mirror Entity, which is pretty strong.
It's extremely strong against Druid hands, especially the ones that have a ramp, because often ramps are the large portion of your spell. You have to imagine that most of the other cards are just bigger creatures that you'd really want to try to play. And he has to make the play because he knows he's up against Mirror Entity, he knows he's up against Effigy, he knows he's up against Counterspell. So even in the worst situation, he still doesn't have a choice. Right. But he absolutely just has to go for it every time.
I mean, he does have the option to possibly have just played Keeper of the Grove and shot his opponent's face. But
I don't like that at all.
I know. I'm just walking through the possible options here. But that would end up going poorly for him as well. So this
Speaking of poor results, the Shredder does pop out a 2-1, which means it does get killed off by that hero power.
Not only that, but it stays alive this turn. You deal with the board, and you have a very nice effigy setup.
Yeah, this is pretty scary for Kuno here because you think that this is. I don't know if we've seen 2 mirror entities in the same game out of Jab. He does have quite a few secrets. So here Kuno can actually just play the Azure Drake into the secret.
Oh boy,
that's a very good draw.
Yeah, he has to Frostbolt, though. He doesn't want to trade off his 4-1 because that's the most likely creature to die. He wants the most potential value out of the
That's right.
This does offer a pretty nice swipe for Kuno next turn.
It does, but who is hiding behind that Pilot Shredder?
It's still fine. Like, really, Jab absolutely needs the effigy trigger this turn because if he plays Dr. Boom, it'll probably trigger on a Boom bot.
And this is a heads-up play from Kuno here, playing
oh,
the...
happy Halloween!
Oh, dear.
That is one of the scariest things.
And the Dread Seed!
All right.
As far as possible effigies are concerned, that's one of the less scary ones. But the Totem Gold coming out of the Shredder, that's scary.
I think both these outcomes are reasonably scary.
Yeah, I think they're both very scary because the Druid is really running very low on life right now. And that weighed into basically the stickiest minion in the entire game.
Well, it is a minion that you know, at least if it stays in play, the stickiest. But if it stays in play, it's only doing 1 damage every turn, and it's not putting a huge amount of immediate pressure. But Dr. Boom, that's a lot of immediate pressure.
It's also one of the prettiest cards in the game. If you got if you want to craft
glorious.
1 golden card,
Fireball here will actually give him the game.
Jab is known for drawing fireballs when they will win the game.
It said 2 damage.
I believe it's a Flame Waker into double arcane missiles.
Okay.
So that's
that can also win the game.
Kind of like a fireball, except, well, maybe
and the boom bots can close the gap if required.
Yeah, this looks like it is.
Yeah, that's just lethal right there.
Wow, good stuff.
So after losing 2 games with his Tempo Mage deck, Jab picks up the game against Kuno's Druid deck, and he's not done yet.
He's not done yet. He's staying alive in the tournament. Game 3 gives him some life, but he has to beat this Druid deck 3 times in a row, and he used one of his best decks to do it.
What we've seen so far from Jab is, in his opening game against No, he actually just had really bad luck with his Hunter. He is playing mid-range Hunter. He had the better opener every time, but he actually got crushed in the mid-range every time, playing mid-range Hunter. So that kind of sucks. But really what we've seen in the later stages of the tournament, and today especially, is the Mage deck really struggling. And it is an aggressive deck. So my main concern for Jab, because the players have to stick to their decks for the end BlizzCon tournament, the players who have already qualified are actually playing decks that really punish aggressive decks. So not only do we have a deck that has been fairly inconsistent, but has to actually beat lineups that are completely countering.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough road to come back from, but it's not impossible. Jab did struggle a little bit, not just being able to win with his mages, but he's also been struggling to just get to the finals every single time. Last year, he got stopped in the Americas Regionals, similar to Nyria and Tice, 2 players who have also gone through that journey as well. And he had a little bit to say about it when we sat down with him.
I think the moment I qualified for this tournament was the happiest point of my Hearthstone career so far, because last year I made it to regionals as well and just fell short, so it's good to be able to finally achieve this. Since I was so close last year, I knew for sure that I could improve and then finally get to where I wanted to be as a player.
Well, he doesn't want to go home here. He's 1 game away still from elimination. Kuno is 1 game away from being the first Japanese player to make the top 8 playoffs in BlizzCon for the Hearthstone World Championships. 2 really cool stories.
Asia-Pacific player.
First Asia-Pacific player this year.
Yep. Lot on the line. I mean, Jab made it certainly a stage higher than last year, but
that's progression.
He doesn't want to end here. Nobody wants to end here. All the games we have for you guys tonight are going to be for those spots, for those critical spots to be able to play at BlizzCon to eventually become the Hearthstone World Champion.
And not surprisingly, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, he's also the last USA member. So, you know, for the homeland America, to keep on the torch that Firebat has passed.
Well, there are 2 representatives of Crips homeland here. We do still have 2 Canadians. It's
true.
I personally think, in my completely unbiased opinion, that it would be even more amazing if Canadians took home the win in the end.
So
I wouldn't mind passing the torch that way.
Jab here.
Oh!
With his mid-range Hunter deck, this is the deck that Jab
Welcome to
is...
the Grand Tournament.
This is the deck that Jab is the most known for. He made a name for himself even before he had a lot of tournament success as a player who innovated on Hunter strategy, specifically mid-range Hunter. And this is a deck that has brought him very far, and unsurprising that he's relying on it when he's back against the wall here.
The bow is such a huge play here. It's just the absolute perfect answer. And not only does it answer that card, it sets up for a tempo play next turn, as Noah is back on 3 mana now that he's triggered the Death Rattle. So really anything he plays there is not going to fare too well against the bow of Jab from last turn.
Kuno does have that wild growth. So he's able to set up to potentially play either Druid of the Claw or Azure Drake next turn, while Jab has a decision between playing this Haunted Creeper or just playing a Houndmaster by itself.
He's been cornered into Houndmasters, like solo Houndmaster plays many times throughout this tournament. But I think this is an opportunity to really play one. The Freeze Trap will likely protect the Haunted Creeper, because you're really never going to waste the spell to kill a Haunted Creeper. You're just not going to do that, right?
It's tough to get rid of a Haunted Creeper without giving away quite a bit of value here. Though speaking of which, Jab actually picked up a Web Spinner, which is another possible option for him to boost with that Houndmaster.
Yeah, the thing is, because he has the Freeze Trap up, I think he's not really interested in clearing the Druid of the Claw, even though he can.
Maybe. I mean, he has the option to potentially attack with his bow, boost his Spider, clear off the Druid, and play the Web Spinner, leaving himself with a reasonable amount of stuff on board. That board would be very vulnerable to swipe, however.
Yes.
Yeah. But swipe would take the entire turn. However, he also does miss out on potentially getting the Houndmaster value. So this is the most stats on board, which I can get behind.
And the trap value, it would cycle another charge on his weapon.
This does give Kuno an excellent opportunity to use Keeper of the Grove to silence that minion.
Yeah.
And now the Wrath will take out the Houndmaster, leaving
super value.
Yeah, leaving Jab without the ability to easily clear off this Druid of the Claw. He does.
The kill command is still pretty useful here.
It is. He can use kill command in one of his minions to clear off the Druid. That does allow Kuno to return his Keeper with that freezing trap the next turn, however.
Oh well.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal. The Keeper of the Grove is one of the answers to Jaime if the game becomes an attrition battle, which is starting to become the scenario that they're using a lot of their resources, and yet neither of them are in danger of being
6 mana Keeper of the Grove isn't really that great of an answer to Jaime.
It's about if the response is on board, though. Like, it knows cards are going to be stronger card for card outside of the Dr. Boom.
Oh, that's a good kill command now. He ended up getting a minion he could play along with it from the Web Spinner.
Yeah, this does make his turn significantly stronger, because previously he was in a position where he would be forced to essentially just cast kill command and do nothing else. But getting the Raptor off of Web Spinner gives him a little bit of additional value here.
Yeah, I think here, even though we'll be able to replay the Keeper of the Grove after a freeze trap, that just makes it so you get a clean Dr. Boom, and you're totally into that one.
And Jab does still have the Eaglehorn Bow up. Eaglehorn Bow gains an additional charge anytime one of your traps is triggered. So here, Kuno does have the opportunity to return his Keeper with the freezing trap, but he doesn't want to give Jab an extra charge.
I think also because he has Force of Nature, which can activate that, and then he can use his Keeper to stay on board and have better combat.
I really like the double trade here. Double trade and playing the Dr. Boom seems very strong.
It looks like he is deciding to use his bow charge, however. I think he may recognize that
it's
Kuno...
not going to happen.
Yeah, that he may
not getting
recognize
that extra charge.
Well, or even that the pace of this game is such that the extra charge is less important than having the additional minion on the board.
Okay.
That could be the case. Kuno draws the Innervate, which gives him access to 10 mana.
That can potentially allow him to play both Force of Nature and Swipe.
That is a board clear, I believe.
So,
oh no,
depends on
back.
the boom bots, I believe.
Well, you would attack first and then swipe, right?
Right.
So
oh yeah, okay. It is a board clear.
So he's
Good
able to
into the Dr. Boom, the 2/4 into the Raptor, and then Mercy of the boot bots.
Just cross your fingers.
They are not merciful. Spoiler alert.
Throw some salt over the shoulder. No.
No mercy.
You know what?
No mercy.
They were somewhat merciful.
Okay.
So he did dodge some of those cracks in the sidewalk before he got to his match today.
Okay, I think we're actually going to see maybe even just a silence play here.
Well, he could squeeze in the hero power and then play Houndmaster. His opponent did use 2 Rats. The reason why Freezing Trap feels weak, though, is because you know your opponent bounced a Treant back.
Right.
Yeah. So he can just play another Treant.
Yeah, this is a little unusual choice from Jab here to just play this Freezing Trap when he does have that information. Kuno has the opportunity
to play something, though. You can't play nothing. You have to play a Houndmaster.
It's a very rough spot for Jab here, for sure.
It doesn't die to that Treant.
It's true.
Fortunately. Oh.
That is quite the draw, considering that he can bounce the
Treant
back and make it cheaper.
Yeah. Treant for 2.
Dude, this Treant.
It's not a lot of work.
He has the biggest case of being blue ball. He just wants to go in and attack, but he just can't. He's getting denied.
I think after this game, Jab will never watch Bob Ross play again.
It just, you know,
Treant
can't handle
beautiful.
the trees. The happy little Treant.
Wonderful. No mistakes. No misplays. Just happy Treants.
Oh, God.
No is counting, by the way, in case he might have some ability to close out the game with two chargers in hand. That makes Savager
it's not
really
quite
powerful.
there. A Savager would be lethal, actually.
Right, if he
but
was able to.
he doesn't currently have that card.
But he's got 2 sticky minions. 1 good Shredder deserves 2 others.
Yeah, 22 life, you're really not afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be a little bit afraid because your opponent played nothing with 3 cards in hand. You know there's some bad things headed your way, but playing the double Shredder makes it a situation where it's almost impossible your opponent will be able to prevent them from doing anything next turn.
Animal Companion. I don't think an Animal Companion who can really get Jab out of this.
Oh, well, Leok does help.
Not a bad start.
Leok with this Unleash is pretty strong.
He also could get like another way to buff some of those dogs, right? Oh wait, based off the positioning, no.
The positioning is problematic, but he didn't really have a choice in the matter, unless he played Unleash first before Leok.
What?
Okay.
Patient Assassin, and Kano even claps. Says, you know what, bravo.
What if you just taunt Leok here? That's good enough, and you just go face.
That is actually quite powerful.
6.
Yeah, no, this is a good turn of events from Jab here.
Garrison Commander.
We see that Patient Assassin on the screen. It is a deadly touch minion, as it were.
It is. That minion, anything it touches, dies. Except
blade.
for Divine Shields. That's something that I found out the hard way.
Well, doesn't damage them.
When I was first playing Hearthstone, I was like, okay, and then just got wrecked.
All right,
so that is 6 health.
That was a really big turnaround.
Oh,
Savage
my
Roar,
goodness.
though, with 2 charges in the hand.
I
believe that might be enough.
Yeah, I think
each
that's
of those
lethal.
charges, we're going to see a cat come down. That happy little tree, he's happy he gets into the action here.
That's right. And guess who just got his ticket to the round of 8 playoffs? It is Kuno from Japan, as he is going to Savage Roar and close it out, sending the final American player home.
Final USA player.
Well, you consider yourself American, Crip.
North America.
Yeah.
I saw you eating some fries yesterday.
He played the Americas Championship.
Yeah.
Some Freedom fries you were eating yesterday. Were
They're
they
good.
delicious? What did they taste like, Creed?
Half of them were. They were like Freedom chips. Those weren't very good.
It tasted like democracies, to answer that question.
Oh, my bad.
That's a 3-1 victory for Kano, as he is the first Japanese player in HWC history to make it to the round of 8. Congratulations. What a wonderful set of events to be able to see him come all the way here to America. And I feel like he just played that pretty solidly, using pretty solid decks.
Yeah, and the real problem in that game was really the mage. Jab realized that he'd probably struggle to get a win, so he just threw it out there, and threw it out there again, and then threw it out there the 3rd time. The 3rd time he got the win, but it was a pretty big disadvantage to come back from.
Right.